Let me know that why two IDs have been used. Anyways, okay. So yeah, so in S3, as I said, it's a very important topic for the exam, and like it's a very easy, and we can crack most of the we can get most of the marks from the S3 topics itself. Now S3, what is S3? So if I talk about S3, so it's in terms of Amazon or this, it's basically a service which provides you the facility to store your data. Okay. And when I say the store of data, so you can store your data, you can access it from anywhere and at any time. And in terms of data, you can say anything. Like if you talk about any files, like your document files, your PDF files, your PowerPoint files, and media files, anything you can store on it. Definitely you have to pay, but it's a great service where you can easily store via the web interface and use it for the for whatever purpose you want. Now S3 is basically the object storage service. Okay, so for now we can just think that okay, there is something which is stored at object, but as I said, like if after some time we will talk about the object and the block storage, there we will see that what is basically the difference between these two services. So S3 is an object storage service which basically offers you a lot of, like, you can have a data availability, you will have a security, the performance would be good, the scalability will be there, your data will be encrypted, and all these things will be there, so there will be no security issues. It's basically work on warm operation, that is WORM. Okay, what does it mean? That write once, read many times. Okay, or read many times, like that. So S3 is basically the warm operation, that you have once written the data, or once you have uploaded the data, after that what you are going to do is that you are just you can read multiple times, as many times as you want. Okay, now apart from this, the one of the very good feature about Amazon S3 is that it provides you the durability, that is like you can it's the service is so much durable that you can basically store your data. Okay, like that it stores your data for 9, and it gives you the percentage like 99 point, you can see that 11 total 11 times 9, after decimal there are 9 place 9s, 9 times 9, so that much durability it provides as per the Amazon recommendation, and as per their documentation it provides just this much of durability. Let's see if this much it is durable, and this is all about this. So let's see how important it in terms of features. Okay, so if we talk about features of S3, so we see that there are a lot of features of S3, like we see durability, availability, scalability, fast, and a lot of other things. But before that, I would like to just let you guys know that we all are using like these the Netflix, right? So whatever data streaming and things which happen from Netflix, okay, whatever it delivers for the you, like the videos and content which we see, all those like are mostly they are using S3 only for their storage. Okay, so they take this as their data storage as S3, and they store all those things like this. Even a lot of other sites, like you have Airbnb also using, a lot of other startups, and G Healthcare and other companies are also using the S3. Now with durability, like it's basically like designed in such a way that it provides you like your object would be there, and it all will be stored and will be available throughout the time. Okay, apart from that, you can like your object will be available in multiple regions. Okay, like it basically makes the replicate the copies, and it makes the copies for your objects or whatever the data or the file you are storing. It's a fast service that you can access your data and things in a faster way. Okay, apart from that, cost effective, because they have different storage mechanisms, and they are really very like cheap when you really want to store a large amount of data and things. So it's very cheap, and they have a different pricing models and plan, which we will discuss. Based on that, you can go ahead and you can store your model, store your data in the same way. Definitely, they have an encryption mechanism. By default, they follow AES 256 encryption mechanism. So that is the reason it is like secure. Apart from that, if they have other encryption mechanisms as well, which we'll discuss again. Then easy interface for data transfer, easy integration. Yes, you can easily like integrate with other services and other components as well. And you can easily, basically it's web interface is there. So like if you don't want to use CLI, so you can go ahead and you can use the web interface as well. Okay. So we see that it's a very highly secure, highly reliable service. It provides you like a different storage options. Faster processing of data is there. Like it's process the data in multi parts and all those things. So faster processing of data is there. And you have you can integrate it with like CloudTrail and all those things. Like as we see last session in IM that at the end, that how we have integrated this with the CloudTrail and all those things. The flexible storage management and other stuffs are there. Okay, so let's see where we can use S3, for what all purpose S3 can be used, because that is one more important point that which will let us know that whatever the important use cases are of S3. When I say backup and recovery, so backup and recovery means that as S3 service, it offers me basically highly durable and highly scalable storage. So it will be very efficient service to back up my data. I can like store all my data in my S3, and that will be like very good mechanism, because it offers the versions also, that as you know that you might have worked other like with version control systems like Git or other SVN repositories and all those things. So you see that how the version is enabled there. So similarly, we can enable the versions here as well. And so if you like basically if you delete also or something, or any version or something, so you can recover it over the time. So that's why the recovery and all those things are very important. The data archival policy is also very good for S3. So like people, like there are certain industries or certain corporates who might need, or certain basically I would say clients who might need their data to be accessed frequently. For them, the data archiving policy and these things are very, very good. The important topic is, or the important use case would be that it basically act as a data lake for all those people who really work on big data or the big data analytics. Because you can like it, what it, how it helps them, that it act as a data lake. What does it mean? That basically it provides them such a good amount of storage in a cost effective and in such a scalable environment, that they can easily meet up their demands, and they don't have to worry about any other like space or server things and the stuffs to store the data. Okay, now you can like bind it, like it helps you to bind it with the different other storage options as well. Okay, you can even store your mobile application data, your other and like you have, if you have any other application related stuffs and data, which basically helps you to helps you in storing for the customer deployment and these things. So you can even store those kind of data. And definitely, like as everything is there and the copies are your whatever data is there, that copies are made. So in terms of disaster recovery and these scenarios, it is helpful for us. So this is the use case which we saw, and which we saw that okay, we have like different use cases and options with help of which we can you where we can use the S3 service. Let's talk about some of the important word terminologies, which by now you would have heard about bucket, object, or these things. What is bucket? So bucket, you see, like see normally like if you as a user, if you wish to store any of your file or any of your data, okay, so wherever you are storing your objects, okay, objects are what? Objects are your like file and these things which are there. Wherever you are storing your files, your data and all these things, and whichever is uploaded to S3, they are, that is known as your bucket. So means first you are going to create a bucket in a particular region, like whichever region you want to do, and then you upload the object, right? Like it's very simple that to fill the water, okay, like you can't carry water in your hand, right, and store it. What you do, like you must fill it in your in a bucket or in a bottle, which will act as a container for it. So first you take bottle and then you fill up the water in that. So that is how that this is, that first you create a bucket in which you store your data. So there will be no data without a bucket. as there will be no water without a bottle or without a bucket. Similarly, there will be no data or no object without a bucket. Okay. Now, bucket basically it follows the like if you see the the hierarchy structure of this here, so you might see that okay, it is following some folder like structure. Okay, let's say like I have a bucket name as a being written bucket in which Ohio region, and in this again I have created one more like for bucket of for object known as bucket known as being data, under which I have AWS course and under which I'm storing some text file. So when I store the text file or something in that, so this like it's basically it seems like that okay, it's a folder hierarchy structure. Okay, but it's like a kind of a flash structure in the S3. Now, with help of this particular data, whichever is being like whatever folder, or you can say that objects buckets you are creating, with that what has happened here, that it creates a URL to access that particular bucket. Okay, it creates the URL for that particular bucket. This will be like S3 US East hyphen to Amazon AWS.com. This will be your URL. This will be like would be your main key name, where being written bucket will be your key name, and this would be again like your the object path or name. Again, we'll discuss about these stuffs. So now, whenever you like add any object, so for each object, like there will be a version ID will be associated with that, which will be assigned to that object. Okay, and definitely you can create it in any region in wherever you want. Now let's talk about objects and metadata. So, as I mentioned earlier, what are objects?
Sachin, in the last slide you had mentioned that you can create S3 in any of the regions.
Right.
But isn't S3 a global service?
So S3 is a global service, but when you create the bucket and these things, you have to choose a region.
Okay.
So, okay, let's talk about objects and things. So as I mentioned, objects could be any fundamental entities which are stored in Amazon S3, or you can say that any image, video, audio, any file, it could be there. Okay. Now these objects consist of object data and metadata. Okay, metadata is like that is we call it as data about the object data. We know that data about the data is known as metadata. What does it say is that if you say the data portion, that data portion is basically very clear to us as well as to S3. It will be like okay, this is my data portion. Metadata are like tags. They are in the key value pairs. Okay, they they are already in. They will be already in the key pair. So my metadata, like there would be some default metadata, like my last date last modified. Okay, that would be my default metadata. Okay, or if it is like says that we are passing the data in a content type would be a JSON or something like that. Those kind of a thing. So the key value pair would be my metadata. Okay, like even we can specify these custom metadata and these things, all this thing. But if we talk about the objects, so it consists of object data and metadata. Metadata will be in key value pairs, and object data is my like again it's clear whatever data I'm going to store. Now, whatever data, whatever things you are going to store inside, like your whatever these would be there in the bucket. Okay, these objects will be stored. S3 really doesn't care about it. Okay, it don't. It just like whatever data you want to insert, you insert it. It doesn't go and like look that or you block you that you can't upload this file or you can't upload that thing. Okay, so whatever the objects now you are doing, you will be creating again. Let's say that if you have created in a Ohio region, okay, now that bucket will never leave from or that object from that bucket will never leave that particular region from the Ohio region until unless you are not transferring them. Okay, so until unless you are not explicitly transferring them to another region or something, the buckets will not leave. So you can say that object will be basically they are uniquely like identified with a bucket, like within a bucket, whatever the object is there, they will be uniquely identified by their metadata. Okay, that would be their key and their version ID. That could be my metadata. So my name of the object and version ID of the object would be my unique identifiers for any particular object, with which help of which I can identify that, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Now let's talk about endpoint. So endpoint is what? It's basically the URL. In a layman terms, everyone know that is a URL or the entry point. Like you go to aws.console.com like this, or console.aws.com. That is what? That is my endpoint. That is my URL, because that is the entry point from where you are entering into the particular server. So if you upload anything or stuff, so what it do, it creates a regional endpoint for you. Okay, it creates the endpoint based on the region you are logged in. Okay, so that you can easily like access, and there will be no latency issue than these things. Now if you do this, so what happens, that you're this in this S3 US East to Amazon AWS.com, this is my endpoint. This stuff is my endpoint. Okay, so your endpoint could be like either S3 dot or S3 hyphen. Okay, it could be in either of the stuff. Now key, as I mentioned, as we talked about key and things in metadata, so it's basically the unique identifier for any object within a bucket. And as it is a unique identifier, so every object in bucket will have exactly one key. Okay. Every object will have exactly one key. Now bucket, key, your version ID, all these things, what they do, they uniquely identifies like each object. Okay, now if I talk about particularly this server, this URL, so in this URL, this being datum bucket is my key. Okay, this would be my key, right? Because this would be the main unique identifier of the name of the bucket. After that, I am creating like sub things and all those things, but this being datum bucket would be what? This would be my key. So every time if you are accessing and things and all those things, so you have to access it via the keys only, as they are unique identifiers. Now region is again very important. Okay, because if I say region, so what is, like, you create a bucket in a particular region. Okay, now when you create a bucket in a particular region, and but it's not that you cannot access it from any other region. You can always access it from any of the region, irrespective of the region you have created. But as per the normal standard, or as per the things, the good thing is to that you should try to access it from the nearest region or the nearest location. Means if it's for Asia Pacific or something here, so I would try, like if I am in Bangalore, I have like nearest location, nearest region would be Chennai. So I will try to access it from the Chennai region. Okay, because that will just allow me, because my connectivity and those things would be more good and more powerful than if I try to access it from London region. Okay, I'll show you guys like how that particular, there is a performance calculator or something. It's, I think it's known as S3 performance calculator only. There it shows that how that region, different regions have faster and different speeds. Okay, so we'll see that in session like either today or tomorrow. We'll see that thing, that how it is important. Now, as I mentioned, objects will not leave their region unless you are explicitly transferring them. And like even you can create like replica of the object, like from one region to this, or like the cross region replication stuff is there. Okay, like as we saw that cross region access in IAM, similar way the cross region replication works, for just for understanding, right? Now data consistency model. This is, yeah, Narendra.
Just a small question on S3. You said we have this cross-region replication. In what situations will we need replication? Because if it is accessible.
Yeah. So see, by default, S3 creates 3 replication in the availability zones. Okay.
Okay.
By default creates. But let's say if you have a data here, but in data in one region. Okay. But you want to access it from some other region, so you can access it. But if you think that, okay, my data access and these things are very, very frequent or stuff, then I can go and like I can create a replica of that particular object in my another region itself. So that because whenever every time you are accessing, there might be that you might have some like issues with respect to the latency or network issues and other or the uploading and downloading stuff. So if you are storing it in the or creating a replica basically in the same region where you from where you're trying to access, so it will be much faster in terms of execution for you.
Okay, and then when we call these replicas, do all of them have the same key? I mean, if they're put in, if they're in the same region, yes, they may have. But even then, the replicas will all of them have the same bucket name and the version ID.
Yes, they all will have same things.
Okay, that is internally taken care of by
Exactly.
AWS.
Yeah.
And if it is cross region, then the URL would change, right?
Yes, because my region name will be changed. Right.
Yeah, but even in the other region, we can have the bucket with the same name.
Yeah, because that's what a replica means, right?
Yeah.
You're creating a duplicate.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't think you can have a bucket name in two regions because bucket name should be unique, right?
But we are creating a replica here, right?
Yeah, but in cross-regional replication, you usually replicate it to another bucket that could be another name. Because even if you create a replica or even if you do a cross-regional replication, the bucket name should not be unique. Should be unique because S3 is a global service. Hence, it doesn't allow the same bucket name in any region.
Yeah, but if I think like for the cross region, like whatever the namespace is there for the buckets, that is like global.
Yes, so only you cannot create a same name for the bucket, two buckets.
Yeah, so I as per my understanding, we can do that. But as you have put up this question, I'll definitely do a cross check. I'll just
Sure.
make note of that, and I'll do a cross check.
Sure.
Just a second. Okay, so let's talk about the data consistency model now. Data consistency model is very, very important part for this S3. Okay, so it basically tells like that depicts like how the results would be after certain operation. Like if you are doing some put, some get, some delete operation. So after these kind of operations are done on the S3 objects, okay, how your data basically how the result would look like or how it will be. Okay, by default, S3 is an eventually consistent system. Okay, but let's first see what does consistent mean. Okay, let's say that if there is a user A, okay, and he has changed some properties of the file from of abc dot this png file to xyz dot png file. Okay, now once this user, okay, let's say that once this user has changed these properties, okay, so what should happen that now this xyz.png, this should be the most up-to-date object, right? As we see that this is my most up-to-date object. This means that this is known as consistency model, that you have made some changes, the object and the bucket has been updated, and you can access that this particular latest. You should see this particular latest. Okay, so my object is in most up-to-date action. But what eventually consistent, why we say that S3 is eventually consistent, because what happens that when user makes some changes, okay, or something to this, there is a mini delay. Okay, there is some mini microseconds or some delay. Okay, that's why it says eventually consistent. To make to reflect the same thing for the different user, for user B. Okay, it might that he might see at the same time abc.png. If he refresh also, he might see the same, because it might take some time for him or for S3 to get like to basically reflect those properties whichever has been changed for the this particular object xyz.png. So that's the reason, that's why it is eventually consistent. Okay, but we'll see that why S3 is eventually consistent. Okay, why it is consistent. Now, if we see here, if we talk like where the S3 is consistent or eventually consistent in these things. So in these kind of scenarios, what happens that we see that any particular bucket, as I mentioned, the data will be replicated automatically. The 3 copies will be made for the in the availability zones. So whatever changes which you have done in your data, okay, those might take a little time to get to affect all the changes at all the 3 availability zones also. Okay, so it takes some time to propagate changes at the all the location wherever this bucket is replicated or wherever the copy of this bucket is made. So that is the reason it is eventually consistent, because due to that this particular delay, this many delay, what happens that you might able to see the same data, and after some time you will see that yes, there is a like you can see the latest or up to most up to date data in your bucket. So this is like the difference between them. It says like stale reads possible, like stale reads is like they just definitely can read the previous one. There is a lower read latency, and here like no stale reads, potential high read, and these are basic like one. But the most important concept is this, that S3 is eventually consistent, and the reason because it takes time to propagate the data in all the region. That is one of the reason why it is this. So now before we go and before we create like other things,
Hello.
yeah.
Yeah, Sachin. So, Sachin, I have one question. You say it is eventually consistent because it takes time to replicate data in all the regions.
Correct.
But say if I have one bucket which is created in a region and that is the only bucket instance which I have, and say if somebody else is also trying to read the file from that same region. So what basically I'm talking is one availability zone in one region basically for it. And the same bucket, one say I'm writing and you're reading. So in that case, will it become consistent?
See, it can, because that delay sometimes it is so many that you don't even recognize. That's the reason we have taken the example of both. But as I said, it creates 3 replicas automatically. Okay, for your region, whatever availability zones there, it will create auto default replicas will be created to maintain the high availability of your data. So that is the one reason, that is only the reason which might cause you to have eventually eventually consistent this issues, like you might see some delay. Okay, so as I said that it's not that okay every time you are seeing that, but as this concept is there and this kind of issues are being observed sometimes, so it happens. Because when we talk about the logs and these stuff also in further, there also you will see that it takes some time to generate the logs as well. Did I answer your question?
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about like if we do the puts operation, that is if we are uploading something. Okay, so like suppose if you have like created a new object, or if you have uploaded something and then you do read operation on that, then your object like that will be always available and like you will able to access it. Okay, so it's like read after write consistent, means you have uploaded and now you are trying to read it, so it will be always there. But if there is a head or get, like if you're trying to like perform the get operation or this, okay, so what you are doing here is that first you are making a get request, okay, to find like that, okay, whether the object is there or not. Like before even creating the object, you are just making a request to the particular key name. Okay, and then what you are doing, that you are either writing or something to that. So that change which happened like after, like first you retrieved and then like to check that what data object has, and then if you are trying to write, in that kind of scenario, you might see a bit of this event like the delay. Then it will say that eventually read after write consistent. Now if you say that override puts, okay, so this means that like if you overwrite, okay, anything for that particular object or these things, and you do immediately, like if you do immediately try to read the data or something, okay, then also it could be eventually consistent. In that scenario also it could be there. And if you delete, then also you might see that it's you might able to access the object, but like so after certain period of time you might not able to access it. Again, all this is like eventually, as it says the word itself, eventually. So you might able to observe it immediately, you might able to not observe it, because it's such a few seconds of a time lag that by the time you are trying to access or read that, by the time it might have fixed also that issue. Now API, we all like would have worked on API, or we know that API is basically like it could be in the REST or the SOAP. So you have basically like the S3, like it provides you basically to access the REST or the SOAP interface. However, mainly like it's the REST API. With help of that, like you can like create and fetch and delete the buckets and objects. Okay. So if you like want to, like we can go deep into the documentation of the API or the functions. So if for a developer point of view, it is important, but from architect point of view, it's like not too important that you know what are the functions and things in there. Like just for understanding, it could be okay. So we talked about different these stuffs. Now let's talk about the object storage versus block storage. So like as I said, like we are going to create a bucket and these things after that. But before that, we just try to understand that what does object storage means and what does block storage means. So in S3, whatever data you store, whatever things you store, so any object or whatever you store there, every data will be stored as an object, that will be treated as an object. Okay, means if your whatever your data will is there, like from a small file to a large file, okay, whatever it contains inside this, so S3 like it just goes and it dumps it into that bucket as an object. Okay, now if I see this, then S3 does have access to metadata, that is set of name value pairs that describes the object and an unique identifier. So it only worries or it only cares about your metadata, that is your keys and value pair, okay, which could be your name and version ID. Okay, so what does this metadata do? That as a developer or as a cloud engineer, it will allow you like to easily like track and maintain that object. You can easily, with help of this metadata, you can go ahead and you can track and maintain that object. And that metadata could be anything. It could be your name value pair, it could be a size, it could be last date modified, like which is by default there. It could be any other attribute as well. Okay. Now, so as I showed earlier that we like think that okay, there's a window file hierarchy kind of a structure, but no, there is no like relation between like these whatever the files and the objects which are stored. It's like it consider it's completely as a flat structure. Okay, so so here if I see, so sorry, this being datum bucket would be my bucket name. Okay, this would be my bucket name, and this will be my object key, that is being datum AWS codes s3.txt. This would be my key, this particular scenario. In this would be my key, this would be my bucket name, and this would be my endpoint. Okay. Now it says that, that no ability to increment, edit one part of a file. What does it mean? That it basically like the S3 service, or if we talk about the object storage service, it does not provide you like it does not provide you like any ability like that you can go and you can edit one part of a file or a single part of a file. You have to like you go like you have to edit the entire, like because you can access the entire object, so you have to access that entire object. Okay, that entire object has to be read and access, and whatever write operation you have to do, right? But if you do this same thing in the block storage, there you can do that, because there you are trying to access it via block. If I see again in this particular diagram here for object storage, so I see that in this bucket, like all these objects, they are being stored and whatever are being retrieved. And with every object, like I have like the ID, whatever the data are there, different other attributes and metadata will be associated with each and every object. So this means that here you will be retrieving the entire object only, and to that object only you are going to perform the operations. Now, the one thing is that, so as this is the object storage and these things, so like definitely you should not use it as a file system and these stuff, because there you like don't want to access and the complete file system or work on this, or like wherever that particular operation which needs high input, high IO performance, for those kind of storage system, we should not use object storage. We should use it for for storing our data and these stuff. But if I talk about the block storage, so for the block storage, what happens that here you basically store the files or the systems in the blocks, like the things whichever is there, they will be stored in a different blocks. Okay. Now, what will happen that whatever data which is stored in these blocks, so it will be split into different evenly sized of blocks. Let's say if I have a 8 KB of a data, so it will go to the 2 to 4 data, and every block will have their own location, address, own details. So this will be helpful for any kind of a higher IO performance for installing OS of these things, because there you can store the large amount of files, and large amount of data will be split into different chunks of data. It can be directly like accessed also by OS or by the file system if you have created it.
Sachin?
Yeah, Narendra.
Yeah, Sachin.
Sachin, so does AWS have both of them, no? Block storage and as well as object storage?
Yes, S3 is object storage, EBS is block storage.
Sorry, what is block storage? I didn't get you.
EBS, we will talk about Elastic Block Service in
Okay.
further classes. That is block storage.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sachin?
Yeah.
Sachin, let's say that file that some txt s3.txt, right? If I want to once again I repeat the same file name.
The same file name.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it will what? It will overwrite the old one?
Yes, if your versioning is not enabled, then it will overwrite. If your versioning is enabled, then it will create a different version ID and it will point to that file as your latest file.
Okay. But older one also be there. Okay.
Yeah, if versioning is enabled in that particular case only. By default, versioning is not enabled in S3. You have.
Okay. One more question, Sachin. That's a block storage, right? That like we're having some file size. After that file will be divided like blocks, right? Is that a similar kind of thing or it's something different?
Yeah, it's a similar kind of a thing, because basically like here, like you see S3 is having like whatever data would be there, that would be fixed size. Okay. Whatever data you are uploading, fixed size, and all, it will take that particular size. That object will take like in that memory, that particular permanent size, whatever the size of object would be. But block storage is like there you like it will divide it into the blocks, and like it would be scalable, and these other things would be there. So for now, I was like my main motto was to make you guys like understand the difference, so you can know that what it is. But the main concept of block storage will come under the EBS service. When we specifically talk about EBS service, that will completely depend on this block storage.
Okay. Yeah, Sachin, this is see, the reason I am asked is, if I store very huge amount of file, right? So this, if I store in a block storage, so they're having what I think that they're having some block size, and it will automatically divide it, the file.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Sachin?
So guys, one thing before going and getting started with the S3 console. So,
Sachin? Can you hear us?
I can hear.
Sachin, can we store video file inside the block storage?
Video file in block storage.
Yes. Is it possible to store it?
I think we can store in the object storage. Why do we need to store in the block storage?
No, just a question. I just wanted to know that can we store it if I have a large video file, and can that be divided into small video or the size which each bucket, sorry, the block should accommodate, and then it will store. So can that be done?
So I think it cannot be done because see mainly the block storage is because see you cannot that it will not be uploaded into that blocks like not be splitted into the blocks, right? Block storage would be mainly useful like where you are storing like your databases, okay, like for your RAD kind of disk level storage and these things. For all those like where you are doing some mirroring and all these operations, for those things you can use block storage.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
So your this video would be your unstructured data, right? So that will not be stored there. Like any unstructured data can be stored in the object storage.
Yes. So on a high level, we can say that all the files such as images, videos, audios should be stored in S3, whereas anything that is related to a database or such structured data should be stored in EBS.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So so let me just clear one thing that for in the exam, the questions which are coming, which basically come for the S3, they or like of course for all that there would be scenario based, but for this like they will just like as you guys know, so that what you have to do is that they will sometimes there will be question related to some pricing scenario. Means that they will give you the scenarios, but what will happen that you might see that there would be some pricing like issues, like at one particular storage pricing would be low and one particular storage pricing would be higher. So based on that kind of a questions come, okay, and there are some questions come like if like as you guys asked that which one to store in the object, which one to store in the block. So those kind of questions also come mostly with respect to S3, that whether if this kind of environment and this is the thing, so should I store in the S3 or in the EBS or wherever it has to be stored. So to getting started with S3, like we all have our AWS account would be set up and would have created that. So let's go ahead and let's try to create a bucket. So Ashutosh, you don't worry, you have not created it yet. And if you have created it, it's good. If you have not created, then you can like follow the recording which we'll be sharing afterwards and try the same steps. But let's go ahead and first see that how you can set up your S3 or bucket. So I would request everyone else also, like once I have shown you guys a demo, so it will be just like we'll give some time and you guys can also create a bucket and let me know if you guys are facing any issue. So this is my AWS management console. I have logged into the region as Northern Virginia. I'll go here to S3 service. I see that the service is global. But you see that all of the buckets and things are created in this region. So I'll go ahead and I'll create, okay, so here it will display whatever the buckets if you have created. If you haven't created anything, then it will give you option to create a bucket like it's giving right now. So you go and you have to create a bucket. Now there are a few naming conventions which should be adhered while creating a bucket. Let's see what are those naming conventions which has to be followed. So as per the AWS documentations, these they keep on updating their naming conventions and these things. So the first thing that it says that it should be unique, okay, across all existing bucket names. Then it says that DNS naming conventions should be there. The most important point is sometimes which comes in exam also, that it should not be formatted as an IP address. You should not keep the bucket name as an IP address. Okay. It should start with a lowercase letter or a number. Should not contain uppercase characters or underscores. Okay. It should be. It says that again, like separated by some like by single period by a dot sign or something. So these are like few of the naming conventions. You can like go ahead and check more things in detail here. But these are the few naming conventions which should be followed for creating the bucket name. So let's try go ahead and see what could be my bucket name. So I say that my Wiz bucket is my bucket name. So as I see, S3 is a global service, but you have to choose a region. Okay. So I have chosen the region as this Northern Virginia, only the US East one. By default, all the buckets will be private in S3. Okay. By default, all the buckets would be private in S3. So if you have to do give, so what you have to do, like you should block, unblock this all public access, and you should give the public access. Otherwise, if you try to access any bucket or something, you will not able to access it. So it's, as a user, it's my responsibility to make sure that I should go ahead and I should do that. So let's say that here I have given the permissions to like I can go ahead and I can access all the newly buckets and all those things from this bucket. Okay, this like I have given related to ACLs, and so this is something related to the policies and all. I don't want this for now. This cross account access, I don't want this for now. So I have turned off these, but I have checked off other things. Okay, so I go and I, yeah, before that, this advanced settings. So in advanced settings, it says that do you want to uh, like disable or enable the object log? Okay, object log is nothing like, it's just that yeah, like it will not basically allow you to write the data after this once again in the object. Okay, in this particular, for a particular object. So you can, as I said, that it works for, also works on a warm model, that is write once read many model, or read as many times you model. So it will not do that. So let it be disabled. Just go ahead and click on. Okay, let me do one thing. While creating a bucket, let me put it in private. This is a conflicting conditional operation is constrained to progress against this resource. Please try again. Okay, so I have created successfully my bucket. Okay, that error could be because of the like some other processing going on, but I have refreshed the page and that went. Now, once I open this bucket, so this bucket is there. Okay, now I can see here that by default I have the name of the bucket, in which region it is there. By default it will be private, and it will tell me when the bucket was created. Okay, you can go and you can like set your preferences accordingly from the settings gear icon. Now you go ahead and you create this. So here you basically like, if you upload any file or something, you can go ahead and you can upload the files and you can create the folders. You can perform the actions like downloading, get the total size, deleting, and all the other kind of actions. Okay. These are the properties from where you are going, from which we will be seeing each and every properties by in like all this in the sessions. Okay, we'll talk about these all the properties. These are the permissions, so you can like now go ahead and you can edit the permissions accordingly. Right now it's all blocked. Okay, so if any access policies or access points are configured for this, the some network type, network access points and these things, which basically you use for a VPC. You can go ahead and do. And this is my my life cycle. This we are going to cover up tomorrow, so don't worry about that. Okay, so this is my bucket has been created. Now let's go and let's try to upload the file. I'll click on upload. Okay, so if you have to upload a file larger than 160 GB, we have to use CLI. I'll show you guys how CLI has to be configured. Let's say I want to upload this particular, not this. Let's say I have this file. I want to upload this file. I say that welcome to Being Datum Cloud Course. I'll click upload directly. Okay. Now you can see the progress bar down. It will tell you whatever the success. If any error, it will tell you that error. Now let's click on this file. Here we can see who is the owner of the file, when it was last modified. Okay, this is some e tag associated with it. Like right now by default it takes standard storage class. Don't worry about this again. We'll talk about this in detail. It's a very important topic. There is no encryption being followed, no server side encryption is followed, whatever the size. This is the key of this particular. This is my object URL. Let me go and try to access this object URL. It says access denied. It's not allowing me to access the object. Now to do so, I have to make it public. That option is also disabled for me. So here I can go and I can see that the storage is this. Okay, this has one metadata associated to it by default. Okay, which is content type text plain. You can go ahead and you can add your own metadata as well. So metadatas are useful to filter out the things. We'll talk about tags and object logs. Select from again is one of the basically the kind of a query which it allows. So when you go to permission, this basically gives you the canonical user ID for the object owner. That is, in this case, it will be for me. Okay, who has all the permissions for this particular object, right? It will give you the canonical ID for the object owner. If you want to add it, you can, like if I want to add a Prasad or if I want to add a Vijit or someone, I can just go and click on add account. I'll give his canonical ID and he can also then access it. Now, if I have to make it public, I should go here. Okay, but it's giving me the option that the block public access setting should be turned off. If the setting is not turned off, you cannot grant access also. Let's say here I go, I say access to the object read. Okay, it says the object, it gives me warning that object will have public access. I click on save. It says access denied because I have not yet opened the public access. I'll go back to my properties. I'm sorry.
Sachin?
Yeah.
Can you go back to permissions page?
Yeah.
So over here, this first point, it says access to object owner, and you have read object permissions, and write object permissions. So when you have uploaded the file, why did it prompt you as access denied?
Still the file is see, by default to access that object, like to access the object via this URL. Okay, it will we have to make the particular object as a public. Okay, we have to make each and individual objects as a public. I have a permission to read the object, means I can go ahead and I can download and then I can view. Okay, but I cannot view view it from that particular URL, like that particular URL from which I would be giving it to other people also to view. I cannot go ahead and view that, because to view any particular URL in to a particular object in the browser window, but that way it should be made as public.
Then how are we going to manage the
yeah, that's what
do I always need to give every bucket as public? Then why is that option available for me?
So you can basically turn on the options, that public access and these options as per the requirement.
So there's a confidential file which contains, say, passwords or account details for any customer.
Yeah, you will not make it public, so no one will be able to access it, right?
Then in that case, how should I change that file?
You have to define the policies and the other things also for these. So
let's go ahead. Yeah, I think we can. Saurabh, but just what you're saying now. So there are a couple of things. So there could be also that a particular bucket is just used by your program and not available to the public, because what Sachin was showing now, that he is having a file which he needs the public to see. So in that case, he will make it public. But if it is that only your program needs to access, then we can apply an IAM role to it, and then only that role can see it. So it's not that once you make public, then everyone can see everything. Plus, there is also a feature that on file level you can also grant access. So if you have 90, let's say 50 files, out of which 2 files have password or some account details, so you can make sure that only those 2 files are not public, but rest all can be made public as well.
Okay, I think let's see these ACLs and all other
Yeah.
policies which he was talking about, and how exactly to make it private. So, okay, Sachin, you can go ahead. I think I will hold
Yes.
on my question for later.
Yeah, privilege and these things we'll talk about. So let's hold on for now. So if we talk about the block, this public access and these stuff. So now here, like you can choose the options for like uh, as per your need. Okay, if you want to like allow it for the cross account access and these also, it can be done. Okay, so let's like I have disabled right now the last 2 options and I just clicked on save. It says that you have to write confirm before doing this. Go and click confirm, and these public settings has been updated successfully. Now I go back to my bucket. This is my object inside my bucket. I'll go here and I'll try to make it public. Now you can see I have this to make public option as enabled. I'll go ahead and I'll make it public and it says success. Now if I try to access this, it says welcome to Big Data Cloud course, which I can access it from here. Now before you guys go ahead and create the configuration and these stuff, let me just show you guys like how you can access it from these. So I have downloaded like in our case I have downloaded the user ID, the access secret key and these thing of Prasad. Okay, so you have to go to your CMD. So you can go to Google and basically you can download the AWS CLI like from the installation. You can go ahead and you can download the CLI version 2. Okay, and once you have downloaded, like after that you have to just go ahead and you can, so it will basically tell you that from here you can go ahead and you can download the file. Once you have downloaded the file from AWS CLI version 2, you can go ahead and you can check AWS -- version, which you can see here in my system. So it will tell me that it will tell me the CLI version, which is version 2, which I am using. So this is version 2. Okay. Now, apart from this, it will also give you some like the current Python version and the other stuff which is there, because Python uses a library for SDK that is a Boto core. Boto is one of the library provided by AWS for Python, which is currently Boto 3. So you can use that also. Let's try to configure this. So to access any particular user first, to configure that, I'll go ahead and I'll type AWS configure. It will ask me the access key ID. So let's say in our case, I'm giving the access key ID of the app. It will ask me secret access key. I'll go ahead and I'll put secret access key of this. It says default region name is this, so I can like skip this. Default output format JSON, then give this. Now I am in my AWS console. So I have to list all my buckets. So I will be doing the command is s3ls, I guess. One second. It's just like commands. I really don't remember all the commands. It's AWS3ls. So if I want to see, so if I can see that I have the new bucket which is there. So I have created this my visual bucket. It will show me the date time when it was created and the bucket name. So now you can go ahead and like you can perform any kind of operations from a CLI. And so there are a lot of commands. It's very difficult until unless you are really very handy to work with the CLI. So to remember all the commands, but to list all the buckets, we have AWS S3 LS. Like I just try to follow any particular cheat sheet, and with that I take whenever and whatever is required. So if AWS, if I have to like check the contents of the bucket, so I will say AWS S3 LS S3 colon this. Let's say I say this. So I have one sample.txt file in this. I can see. And let's try to view the same file which was at our end. So I'll give the bucket name. And here I can see that this file was created a few minutes before, and sample.txt file which has 33 KB size. So I can go ahead and view this file. So this is how you can, like, using any of the commands you can do. You can like copy even from one part to other. You can move, you can remove. So there are operations and the commands which you have to follow and do with that. So before going ahead, just guys, I'll allow all of you like around 5 minutes of a time to go ahead and create the bucket, and let me know if you have any issues.
Sachin,
Yeah.
in the meanwhile, just one question. So you showed us that we can make the bucket off, the public access on the bucket on or off, and depending upon those four options, we can select yes or no. But how can we attach an IAM role to the bucket, or are you going to take that later?
Yes, so the entire privilege things, the policies and those things will be covered up tomorrow. So today,
Okay.
as I mentioned, we'll talk about versioning and all those things, which are like, which as per my understanding are the other few things which are important for today. So we'll take that first, and those, they also are important, but definitely.
No. I was just thinking because, yeah, on top of my mind that how to attach an IAM role, I forgot.
Yeah, no problem. We'll do that. But we saw that thing in last class only, how we can access the bucket. When we were
Yeah, creating a IAM role, and
right.
but creating an IAM role and giving that user or a group that policy of S3 read only, so that is fine. But how do you attach it to this bucket? Or
Sure, I'll show you all those things.
okay, tomorrow we'll see that.
Yeah.
Sachin, so I can create bucket from any region, right? That will not be an issue.
Yeah, you can create it from any region.
Okay.
Hi, Sachin.
Yeah.
This is Narendra. I created a bucket, but then it says error in the region part. Successfully created bucket, but still it says in the region part is showing it as error in the record level.
In the record level, can you paste me the error, whatever you are getting?
There is no error being shown, But
Mhm.
what it says is we have a list of buckets, right?
Yeah.
What we have. So in that bucket list, in the name I have the same name, but under region I see error.
Are you creating a bucket with the same name?
Yeah.
It's not allowed. So you have to have a unique name for a bucket.
No,
Yeah.
no, no. Actually, my bucket got created. That's fine.
Okay.
But it only says under the region part as error.
Can you show? Can you let know here where? Okay.
Yeah. If you go to your buckets list,
Hmm.
so under region you see US East and all options, right?
Huh?
I see error there.
Can you refresh the page once?
Okay.
In which region you have created the bucket?
I tried it with Ohio East too.
That is northern. Okay, US East too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should not happen. That's a weird error.
Yeah. I'm just refreshing the page
Sir,
itself.
what do you think?
Yeah, but 10 minutes ago, I also got an error, and it was telling that AWS is changing their console, and there might be
Yeah,
some.
yeah.
Yeah, so I got that. Might be because of that, because for me also, I've created buckets in Sydney region, London region, and your Virginia region.
It shows
Um,
fine now.
yeah, so it's just because of that updation of the AWS console,
Yeah.
S3 console. Yeah, should be fine now.
And also the bucket name should be unique because whatever names I am giving, the requested bucket name is not available. I am getting that error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that issue I also faced because I was also like I tried also that by to get out that to get that particular list that what default buckets we have. So I see that they have some already default names and stores, so it doesn't really allow to store with all the names. So you can like follow any convention right now. So like, is everyone done with this?
Yes, creation of the buckets is done, but not with the access part.
Yeah, that could be like as console and these things are there. So like you might even try with other region if like as of now you want to do that. So
Yeah.
we can do that. So there is just 2 minutes more. Saurabh, Abhijit, what about you guys? Follow me.
Sachin,
Yeah. Yeah, so I have created the bucket. So for me, it's
I'm doing it.
Okay. Ashutosh, uh,
Sachin.
what is your status? Saurabh, just a second, sorry. Ashutosh?
No, Sachin, I have not yet created. After the class is over, I'll try.
Okay, thank you. Just Saurabh, please.
Yeah, so
Yeah, sure.
Sachin, I have created this bucket, so I can see that for the permissions, there are two types of permissions which are showing. So at the Amazon S3, the S3 main page where I can see this S3 service, on the left side we can have block public access, bracket it says account settings. And when I go inside my bucket in the permissions, I can see uh, the same thing, but which says block public access, but it says bucket settings. And mostly I can see the
So
points
this is
are almost same.
this is
So how these two are different?
yeah. So this is when you try to access it directly. That like this is where you are listing all this. So whatever changes you are going to make, that will going to change for this particular account owner itself, like for this account itself. So it will by default will be applicable to all the buckets, right? In that bucket,
Mhm.
that is the reason we always like go ahead and we try to change the setting for a specific bucket. Otherwise, if I make all the bucket as public or whatever access I want to give here, so it will create by default it will be applicable to all the buckets which are available for you. But in your in when you go inside bucket and do, then that will be applicable only to specific bucket.
Okay. And then like if you say it's only for my account using which I've created all these buckets, um, basically I'm a bit confused about why did it says access
Your
control list. So
account is
I
account your account owner.
yes. So what if I please correct me if I understood it correctly. You says block account access, account settings. This talks about the account using which I have created these buckets. So say if I have 5 buckets which I have say logged in as Saurabh as my account, and I've created 5 buckets using my account Saurabh. Now, this property which says bracket account settings, it only talks about giving permissions to Saurabh, to how Saurabh will be operating on those accounts, on those buckets, sorry, right?
No, so it will give, yeah, so that settings will be valid for all those buckets for which owner is Saurabh. It's basically the global setting. You are not like, you are basically, instead of going and doing the settings at the each individual bucket level, you are doing it here at all the levels. So it will, like, if says all these 6 buckets are created by Saurabh, so this setting, you change the setting here, all the settings will be done reflected for this thing.
Correct. So my question was, actually I'm trying to come to this question. So if you say all the settings, if I change, it will reflect on the buckets. Then there is an access control list which can be attached to this as well, which I
Yeah.
can attach. So there are set of, if I understood it correctly, there are set of accounts which can also be, which I can provide access to, and they can also have the same access rights as I am having as the owner of these buckets.
When you attach ACL at that time,
Yes.
yeah, so that will be like whatever access you are giving to them, those will be there, right?
Correct. So say if I relate it with IAM, so if say I have a developers group,
Mhm.
that developers group will access a bucket called say being datum.
Okay.
So now in that developers group, say I have a few like 3 users in it.
Mhm.
So then those 3 users, 1, 2, 3, I can have those accounts added into this account settings, and then they can have access to this bucket.
No. This in this
Is it?
setting you cannot add users, right? This is for public, like to making it available to public, right?
No, when you say public, eventually you're talking about specific accounts only, right? Because it says account setting, and that's the whole point which I'm trying to understand. Because when you say account settings, what exactly does it mean?
Okay.
You got my question, right?
Yeah, I got. So
Because if
account,
you see down, all the things are same: block, public access, the 2
right.
bucket, and the same thing is these are the points which are there for the bucket settings as well. So how the permission varies if I change there and if I change here?
So as I mentioned, this will make and will allow for all this thing for all the owners, basically, like for whoever has created the bucket. Okay, let's try to do that. Let's try to save changes. See, as I do save, it says update the block public access account settings affects all existing and new buckets. Okay, whichever is coming, they all will be posted. So right now it is total is this. Then right, like I did and make public, that is not going to, like, then you don't need to do all those things. You just go and click on make public and that will work for you. This is अकाउंट सेटिंग्स पे ये पूरा चल रहा है हमारा, मतलब जो भी उस ओनर ने क्रिएट किया है उसके ऊपर ही पूरा, तो जो इसके मतलब बकेट सब इसमें आती जाएंगी होगा, सबके ऊपर ये काम करेगा. वहां पे हम एक इंडिविजुअल बकेट को परमिशन दे रहे हैं, और एसीएल और जब वो हम ऐड करेंगे तो वहां पे फिर हमारा, या अगर हमने आई एम रोल ऐड किया, तो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ अ टाइम माय अगेन इट विल डिपेंड एट व्हाट काइंड ऑफ अ पॉलिसीज एंड व्हाट काइंड ऑफ परमिशंस आई हैव अटैच्ड टू अ पर्टिकुलर रोल, सो दैट पर्टिकुलर ओनर कैन गो एंड सी दैट बकेट और नॉट. So, Saurabh, did I answer you?
Not exactly, because I'm still just trying to work around with this. Just give me 2 minutes. I just want, because my only confusion is say account settings, I got it. So for this account, all the changes will be applicable to the buckets. So this one point I'm clear with, that whatever changes you do in account will be applicable to all your buckets, and bucket specific will be applicable to bucket. This is one point which I understood. But if I do the changes, if there is an account which says block and bucket says public, which will supersede?
Definitely public will supersede, right? Because by default public will be applied to all these buckets. And like now after that, if you are going and changing anything, then you are doing it again for your individual buckets only. You're not like changing it for other buckets. Other buckets would have the
So
same.
can we do one thing? Can you just click on this, block all public access? Just block it, block everything.
Yeah, by default it's blocked only.
Okay.
By default it will be blocked only.
And then if I change, and then go to the bucket which you have recently created.
Individual settings, it has not changed.
Okay.
It will not change. It has not changed these individual settings. So is it? I think this is for the access point or something, because it's not given anywhere the complete thing here. I'll see this thing, that if I can find some document or something for this, I'll share you that thing sort of.
Okay, sure.
So guys, everyone has created it.
Sachin,
Yeah.
can you also tell me one thing that now let's say if you go onto your file that you had uploaded, so yes, so this was available from public, right? So you have made it public.
Right.
Now you have to make this private again. How to do it?
I have to again block the access.
So can you show that, because I did it and it was it didn't work out. Yeah, see over here, you do not have any access, and if you click on actions, then you have only make it public. You do not have make private. No, the bucket needs to be public. That's not a problem.
You cannot unchange it, right? You cannot.
Why?
You have to see how you have your permissions has been your permissions, whatever is there, that has been done via this public access block settings. Okay. If you will disable this, then only it will be there. Otherwise, if that would be the case, then in that particular file itself, I can, like, there should be one option like that, that go ahead and make public, and then for that, then automatically it will just give the access, like by default automatically what it will do, that it will uh, unblock the public access for that particular file, and again it went. You have to go and change it here also only, right?
No, but this will be applicable on whole bucket, right?
Yes.
I want only for that one file.
So in that case, if you want only for a one file and all, then I think then we have to create a policies and these things.
Okay, because if you upload a new file, just upload a new file.
So guys, let's not get confused with this and drag this further for the any like things. We will see about the access policies and these stuffs, where we can take it in a much better, deeper way.
Okay.
I'm going ahead and I'm uploading this file.
Yeah, because this by default will be private, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you try to access this, even if your bucket is public, still you won't be able to access this. Correct?
Yeah.
So what you do is no, don't do that. Don't do that. So if you go and just click over that file on the endpoint, the one which you went, yeah. So here it will give you an error, correct?
Right.
So again, if you go to your console, there is an option. So if you go up, yeah, you can go to permission and then make it read. But if I have to undo that, then it's not happening. I don't know why. Or is it not taking effect because of the S3 change that they are doing?
See, I didn't did anything now. It's giving me make public.
No, that's fine, but don't make it public. So if you go below, yeah, now if you click, it's access denied, correct?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have to make the each individual object as public, which I want to do, right?
Yes, now make it public. So you will be able to see it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now consider that I have made a mistake of making that public and I have to remove that public again.
So here, this public access, it just came as everyone as yes, right? You can go
Yeah.
ahead. You can disable this.
Yes. And can you see now again? Because even after doing this, I was able to see that object via internet. So I was a bit confused.
Why S3 is eventually consistent. It
Oh, so you have to refresh it.
might take some time.
No, the
For
other one.
me,
No. This is not the correct tab. Huh?
You can see.
Okay.
Close all again.
but for me, it's happening. Like if I am revoking the public thing, so I'm not able to see it. It is again giving an access denied error.
Oh, okay, but then Pauline, did you refresh it? Because I didn't do that. So might be what Sachin is saying about even
No,
consistent.
okay. No, I didn't refresh it, but don't know about it is working for me because I
This-
tried doing twice, but it worked for me.
This is the live example for eventually.
Now it's working. Yeah, now it's working as well. Okay, but Sachin, you can move ahead. I think we saw an example of consistency.
Great. So, like every one of you, like after the class, just configure the CLI also and do it from the CLI as well. So we have done with this getting started with S3 and saw these things here. Let's go move ahead to versioning, which is a very, very important topic and very, very useful to understand. So let's talk about versioning. So by the name itself, it's very, very clear. Sorry, by the name itself, it's very, very clear that versioning basically allows you to maintain different versions like of your objects in the bucket. But do we have versioning enabled by default? So no. By default, versioning will be suspended in your for your buckets for your objects. Let's see first that. Let's go ahead to the properties. Sorry, let's go ahead to property of a bucket. Let's see here. It is suspended. Okay, suspended here means that there will be no versions created. That basically means the AWS terminology as a disabled option. So let's not enable it first. Let's try to understand why and what is the use of versioning. So see, we know that these days there are human errors. Okay, where sometimes you have uploaded some file by mistake, someone like has deleted some file. Like probably not much chances of deleting that from console, but from the CLI or these things, someone just might have like ran a wrong command or something, and that led to deletion of the particular file. In that case, I will not able to recover that particular file, because once it has been deleted, so it will be so it will be just erased off, and you cannot do that. But if your bucket has versioning, okay, in that case, what you can do, you can go ahead and you can restore the file even if you have deleted that. If you have versioning, if you have, even if you have deleted that file, so like just you have deleted the file, okay, it's not that you are, like there are a few options from where which you can recover. If you have gone and if you have deleted from that also, then God knows. So this is one example. The another benefit of versioning is that if you overwrite the object, it will create a new version for the same object. We'll see the example of both of things. Before that, anytime if you see here version, once version is enabled, a version ID will be created for each individual key or each individual object. Okay. So we have three states of buckets. The first, like by default, unversion. Now there will be like no version, nothing. But right now you don't see any version over here, or you don't even see the options also to show the version or hide the version, anything. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's see like the other two options. Versioning enabled, by name it's very clear version will be enabled. Versioning suspended, by the name itself again it will be very clear that version will be suspended. So this versioning, like it will be applied to whatever, all the objects whatever are there in the bucket, okay, not few or not some of them. You apply the versioning on bucket, not to the object, and that will be applied to all the objects on the bucket. Once the versioning is added or enabled, so like we know that it will give a unique version ID. But if you have like again unversioned that, then it will have null as the version IDs for all those things. Okay.
Sachin?
Yeah.
In this case, if let's say I have a bucket, I enable its versioning, I upload 4 or 5 files or 4 or 5 versions of the same file, and then I suspend it. So what happens? The earlier file gets deleted?
No, that that file will not be deleted. They move back to null position. We'll see this Prasad in some time.
Okay, good.
So let's see first that how the versioning works. Okay. So let's try to see first for this without versioning bucket. Okay, for this particular bucket, if we see, so let's try to go ahead and see with the live example. So for now, I'm just going ahead and like I'm uploading one more file. Okay, name for this is the same sample.txt. No version has been uploaded. Right now, we all remember that we have versioning in this file. We have welcome to the Being Data Cloud course. I'll just go ahead and I'll append something. I'm going to upload this. Now we can see it got uploaded and the timestamp and things has been changed. Even the size from 33 to increase to 39. So if I try to access this now, so I see welcome to the Bing Data Cloud course $. But what happened to my previous file, which was there? Because when I see the latest version, it is pointing to this particular file. It is not showing my previous version because my versioning is not even enabled. Okay. So as my version, so this is the issue when you have unversioned file. I lost my previous file. I don't even have that previous file. And there is no other way like I can do because that has overwritten the content. Okay. So for this particular like scenario, these kind of things, okay, we to avoid these kind of issues and stuff, what we have to do, we have to go ahead and we have to enable the versioning. Let's go ahead here. Let's go to properties. Let's go to versioning. Let's click on enable versioning and let's click on save. Now my versioning is enabled. as my versioning is enabled, now I'll go ahead and I will create one more file with the same name as sample.txt. And I have appended afternoon instead of $. I'm going to upload this. It got uploaded. My timestamp and things has been changed. Everything is good. Let's go to sample.txt. First, see. Now I can see that I have two different versions of the file, and it will point to the most up-to-date version. Okay. It will point to the most up-to-date, that is the latest version of the file, which will be here. Now I'll just go ahead and make it public. I'll see if I have that content or not. I have that content. So this means it has been replicated. But if I want to download now my previous version, what I can do is that I can go ahead and I can download my previous versions. Before that, let's first see two other things. Let's go ahead. Now you see earlier we are not getting this versions option. Now we can go ahead and we can see the version. Let's see the version. See, to this file versioning is not applied, and this was my previous file already uploaded. Okay, so answer to your question, Prasad, here, the file which were earlier already in the bucket. Okay, so these files will have the version ID as null. Okay, and the file which have version, so for this file there was no version earlier. There was not. It will be given as null, and this particular file will have my version ID associated with this version file.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, okay. I said okay.
Okay. So this now let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and let's try to delete. Okay. So this text whichever comes, it gives you nothing, as it gives you just normal details and these options. So go to actions, delete it. Now I have deleted this file. Okay. Now when I see version, and what is this? What happened? Why delete marker didn't came? One second. There should be a delete marker actually which should come. So we saw this detail here, but there should be a delete. So when you delete it, basically tag to one delete marker. Okay. Let me do one thing. Let me try to upload it once again. Before that, I'm just deleting for now all the files from this bucket and trying to upload it. So this has my version ID. Yes, now it came. This is, see guys, eventually consistent example. You can see how much time it takes. You get confused what is happening, and like even I also get confused. I already explained this issue. Now you see I have this delete markers for all the files. Now I have delete. This is my latest version which has been pointed out. If you go ahead and if you see this particular object, okay, or if you try to download this, okay, delete marker resource, you cannot download. So you see now this delete marker is there associated with the file which we have deleted. So if you want to like right now also we can go ahead and we can restore this particular file. Okay, that we can do. One second. No, sorry. Yeah, we can. Yeah, this file will be always there. Okay, with the tagged as a delete marker. Okay, sorry, my bad. You cannot. So, if you are going and you are deleting this also, okay, then it will be deleted permanently. But as we saw that if versioning is not enabled, then that file itself is gone. But if you are this file which is associated to delete marker, this will always be there. Okay. So now if you just go and hide this, like open sample.txt, here if you see the latest version, so you have this was your latest. Before that, your delete marker, this file was your latest version. So now you cannot like access it, but this will be there for you. Okay, see the object URL is gone for that.
Yeah, but you can delete that file, Sachin.
Yeah, I can delete this file.
You delete the delete marker and then you can delete the original file.
Okay, you are saying that we can delete this or delete marker first.
Yes, first delete the delete marker and then delete the original file. Then it will be deleted.
Okay. So now I have deleted the delete marker as well. So this file will be deleted. This file got deleted now, and I have these two as my version. So like versioning, like if you upload other more versionings will be there, and that will be pointed automatically to the latest version. This was one thing, but as I already showed you like what happens that when the versioning is suspended and how it happens. Let me show it again. Now I'm going to suspend the versioning. Okay, before that I'll just do one thing. Okay. So this is the progress before suspend. I'm going again back, suspend versioning, and now let me try to upload any file. With the same this version. Now you see the file which I have uploaded right now, for that version ID became null, and my previous version previous file is gone as soon the previous file which, so you see here, so you see here for the above anyways that hardly any change happened because we have not even uploaded that. But for the below one, whatever my 341.15 which was there, okay, that went down, but whatever this null was file was there, that went, okay, that gone, and the new file which uploaded that has version ID as null. So when you suspend, so what only the latest version which is will be there, that will be retained, the latest version ID, and the remaining files are gone, like are removed from the system. Okay, so this is the overall concept of the versioning, okay, which we saw from this point of view. So before we go ahead, let's see a few more things from here, that what happens and all. So we saw that enabling versioning on a bucket that already has some objects in it. So this means that if you enable the versioning on a bucket which already has objects in it, so those objects would have the null as their version ID, which we saw that initially we have the PDF file and a text file, and after that when I modified the text file and entered it, it has a null as their version ID. Now for version suspended, it says that you like don't take new versions and all this, and when you suspend, so whatever the existing objects will be there, like that will go, like the latest version will come as we saw, and other will go. Okay, it will make the updated version as a latest version, replace the existing object with the null. Okay, to the that means whatever the latest file is there, to that null ID will be assigned. But yeah, so this is the overall like concept of the versioning which we saw here. So I'll again like quickly just give you guys a 5 minutes of a time, okay, to upload the files and just check without versioning and with versioning, so that like if anyone of you is facing some issue, if any one of us is having some issue, so we can quickly go ahead and discuss about this.
Sachin, one more question. So that to write the scripts, basically we are doing manually to write the script to upload the files, right?
Right?
Uh, Write the script to upload file in S3 bucket.
Okay.
Okay, so for that there is a documentation, right? Where I can find the documentation where all the methods and classes are defined.
Okay. You are like, so I didn't got your question. Can you repeat it back, Ashutosh?
See, the question is, suppose I need to write one script which will take the file and upload in S3 bucket. So right now we are what? We're selecting the file and taking our system and we're uploading it. But according to script wise, I need to write one script which will take my file and upload in directly in S3 bucket.
So if you are using a Python, so you have to import a module or a name as a Boto3. Okay. So when you do with the help of a Boto3, what happens that so basically it allows you to access the API, the AWS API, and like basically like you can go ahead and you can check in the documentation for S3 API endpoint. With that endpoint, you can go like when you have access that endpoint via the access secret key and the access key, as you saw that for console CLI access we did. So we can go ahead and we can do that. And apart from that, then you have to use some functions, like there would be a function to upload the file. So there would be function upload bucket or upload object is one function, I believe, which has to be passed with the file like details with the path of the file, and that will do the work for you. If you need to see the examples, I will I'll share you the example tomorrow. Like I don't have the code handy, but I'll help write that particular code and help you with that.
Yeah, Sachin, I saw that there is a documentation, right? Inside the documentation, upload file and all the functions and methods are defined, right? So can you show me what is the documentation or mentioned, or if not, you can share with me tomorrow.
So we can see it tomorrow also, and like I'll speak to you about this like probably after this session, because like I think like this would be specific to you for a developer point of view. Okay, but for like remaining people, like it would be like this, so we can talk on this after after this call. Ashu.
Okay. Okay, sure.
So guys, done.
Sachin,
Yeah.
Sachin, for my previous bucket which I have created, I was actually just trying to change this. I have actually put this account permission as on and permission of the bucket as off for the public block. And then also it's not giving me this make public. The button is still disabled.
So the block all account that account setting, block all public accounts,
Yes,
is that off?
that is on.
You have to turn it off, please, and then try.
Okay. Then it is working. But I think for you also it's on only, right?
It was no. For me also it's off right now. I've turned it off, but because when I was also trying to access, it was not allowing me to do so. That's why, like, because as per my understanding,
Okay.
it should not do that. Because
Correct. Okay.
if so, as Saurabh said, so I have to do check that. What it is. Okay, you are Saurabh. Two minutes more, guys. I'll be back just in 1 minute. No? In like, yeah. So okay, guys, let's move to next topic. This we can practice. Okay, so next topic is again related to the logging and the things. So like, see, for every app, for all the things, you see that the logs and these things are very, very important. Now here we have the loggings on the basically two kind of logging. One is server access logging and another one is object access logging. So if I say server access logging, so what do you mean by server access logging? So let's say that you are requesting or you are accessing any object like from your application or something for a bucket. So you have a bucket like in which server access log is enabled, and you will be delivering. So whenever user try to access this bucket, okay, so whatever operations will be performed, okay, whether it's a read operation, write operation, any puts operation, any kind of a operation which is going to be performed on this bucket, for all those operations, basically a server access log will be generated to a target bucket. Okay, so for all those things or all this access log will be generated to your target bucket, and the logs will be delivered for each and individual for the operation whichever is happening. So some of the important points which has to be keep in mind here is, first of all, that what those logs contain. So whatever the access request or things has been made, So that it contains the records of all those requests for your bucket. Okay, whatever has been from the source bucket to the target bucket, what like logs, whichever will be delivered, it will take care of that. It will help you for auditing and access purpose, like how many, let's say that if you want to see how many people are trying to access my bucket, okay, in a day, or how many people are trying to upload the things on my bucket, what kind of data is being uploaded, or the canonical user IDs you want to get, all those things. So those all things you can get it. By default, it is disabled. Target bucket will be your this, okay, you can keep the same source and target bucket, really doesn't matter. Region should be same, that is important point. Wherever your source bucket is there, in the same region you should create a target bucket. You cannot create a region in a different bucket and deliver it. So then like you can put prefix, like if you have a prod environment and the other like dev environment and the QA environment, so you can like put any prefix, or you want to suppose say any user related logs are there or anything, so you can go ahead and check that thing. Okay, now let's see, this last point is like related to the access policy and these things, so, which is there. Yeah, so what does records contain? First, let's see just in a theoretical, then I will show you the records and the logs as well. So we see this so it will create, it will contain the name of a bucket which has been accessed, who has accessed that bucket, what is the request time when it was accessed, what kind of action has been performed, what was the status, and if there is any error code, that will be there. So you can create single target bucket, and you can dump on all the like multiple different sources bucket to that same target bucket. And let's say now you have given that particular target bucket access only to your auditor who is coming and just analyzing your logs or auditing your logs. Again, as I mentioned, essentially eventually consistent, sorry, essentially, but eventually consistent. So similarly in this, it tries to deliver the logs on its best effort basis, but it takes some time, sometimes hours also, to generate it. That was the reason I have already created one bucket yesterday for you guys, so that I can show you guys that how it is working. Let's see how it is there. If I go to this bucket, in this bucket, if I go to properties, I can go ahead and I can set up the enable this logging. As soon as I enable the logging, it will ask me to choose a target bucket. For now, I will put the target bucket as this only, the same. I can give any prefix for this. Okay, right now I can leave it and I will save it. Now, once I have done this, what I'm going to do, like I'm going to access this bucket. Let me try to upload some 4 files so that some actions would be there recorded. So let me try to upload some image. Let me try to upload some image. It is there. Let's see in some time if we have the logs generated here itself, it would be great. Otherwise, let's meanwhile see the other bucket in which already I have enabled this setting. I think this was the bucket in which I have enabled this setting. Right. So I'll just first show you guys that where the server access logging is enabled. Okay. So this, but yeah, one thing is more that when your source and target bucket are same, so it creates some extra logs, okay, related to the billing and those things. So it creates some additional logs. But when it is different, it doesn't create that. Pricing model we'll talk at the end, because that then it will be more very clear that how this pricing model is working. So let's see the here the overview. So let me go ahead and try to access any particular log here. Let me download it. That is better. So I've downloaded this as a text file. Format it. This is basically my canonical user ID, okay, of the requester who is requesting it. This is my source bucket name, okay, for the bucket which I have requested. This was the time when the things have been requested or when the objects have been accessed. This is for the requester ID. So here, as I am only there, so it will be requester ID. If whoever has uploaded that would be there. Again, this would be this would be your, I think this would be my requester related stuff only. So this I'm missing what is this parameter. This is again some parameter. But yeah, this is like the operation which is performed, that is rest.get.bucket. As I told you earlier, it's supposed REST interface. So with the help of that, it has posted a method get, where for this bucket it is going, and I'm just doing a like it will tell you that option whatever it is being done here, okay, for the S3 console, and those details will be passed with the proper header and whatever the encryption and whatever those things are there. The signing certification and all the things will be there. So these are the logs which are generated with respect to your server access logs, where you basically all of your actions, whatever the on the server side, if you say, or this you say that whatever the request actions has been performed, okay, whatever the requests which are made to your bucket, it will store and access all those operations. Let's go ahead and see if any operation, if any log is being generated there in my original bucket. So no, not yet. So that's why I say that it takes time. So nothing generated till now. So let's wait, like probably in tomorrow's session we can see this.
But Sachin, just one question: is this similar to using another service like CloudTrail or not?
That, yeah, but just there is a difference that object access logging, when you talk about object access logging, so there you basically use these kind of services, CloudTrail and all. For server access logging, you don't.
No, because why I was doing is, let's take an example. You are saying that it takes time, it takes hours. So just for an example, if I have to do that and detect any suspicious activity, if the log is going to come after hours, what's the use of it? I cannot stop it. I can catch it later.
Exactly, but yeah, but that's why like CloudTrail and those are more important, right? Because by default that is now enabled, and this is because this kind of concerns are for everyone. Definitely, like there is no use of logs if you get it after some time. But again, Amazon issue.
Okay, got it. Now I was thinking that these logs are being provided to CloudTrail. So I was thinking that, yeah, then what's the use of it if they are going to come after hours?
Right? No.
Okay. Yeah.
So
and also while you were clicking, there was another option called as object level logging. So that is not like, for example, sample.txt. It's not like that, or is it the same?
Yes.
Yeah. So if I click on this,
This is only my object access logging. Else, okay. Now you have mentioned. So you see, for this only you create. So guys, so Prasad, just I would like to pause you for 2 minutes before, so that I can explain them what happens. So basically, like object server access logging, we saw that this will happen basically for your server access level. That is for your whatever the bucket which you are providing it. Okay, it will capture and then whatever request operations is being made by users, all those kind of operations will be captured by it, right? But when I come to object access logging and these things, so here basically what you do, like you create a trail on CloudTrail. So like Ashutosh, like apart from you, everyone would be aware that how we can create a trail and all those things, as we have covered this in, like not completely, but we have covered this part in last session, in the IM session. So AWS CloudTrail, we create a trail where we point it out to the bucket. Now whatever operations are being performed for users, by user for all these things, so the data events will be triggered from that. If you guys remember, we had only 2 data events. One was for S3, one was for Lambda function. So basically all those data events will be there, and those kind of events will be then like a CloudTrail will basically deliver the logs to your target bucket. Okay, before going ahead, it's like, let's see what all things are going there. Okay. So we know that CloudTrail service already, like we know that it monitors your account. It basically monitors all the activity whichever is being done. So as I see that we already had existing trails, so we can choose among this. Okay. So if we choose any existing trail, so we can see that what kind of events we have to capture. Either we have to capture any read events or we have to capture any write events also. I'm not sure why this unexpected error is right now. It allow me or not, but if I do this, so for this particular cloud trail, that is for S3 AWS log trail which is created, I have to go ahead and I have to do this. One important thing, that the cloud trail and the bucket region should be same. Let's go to cloud trail. So I have here, like here, this is the cloud trail. Okay, all this region is same only. So like, let's say I created in a Bing datum trail and I capture read and write events both. And when I go and I create it, this is enabled. This is my object level logging. Okay, Prasad.
Okay, so the difference is just that in object level logging, you generate a trail. Sorry, I didn't get it.
Yes, we generate a trail because from this we can specifically, like, see, in the server access logging, it will, like, whatever your kind of a request operations are being performed, whether it's get, read, write, post, whatever, like read, write, both operations will be captured. Okay, you see here that you can just specify the target bucket, that's it. Okay, there the one advantage is that first of all you will get the, like, you can basically create a trail and you will get the events much faster than the server access logging. And the second part is that you can even create specific trails for your read events, for your write events for the same bucket.
Okay, but is it possible that, okay, if I have a bucket and 50 objects in it, and I want to only monitor trail on 5 objects, so can I do it on an object level? I thought object level logging was more for a particular object.
Bucket level, no, because see, this entire thing will yeah, this, you are saying that inside buckets whatever objects are there, right?
Yeah, but I only want to have logs of only 5 objects that are critical, and if anyone accesses rest 45, I don't want logs.
I don't think that we can do, because if we don't have that facility where, so probably in this particular log, if we are here, we go. So here we might have to set some. Yeah, here you can define your buckets. Okay, to whichever buckets you only want, not the objects inside the buckets. So
Okay.
let's say if you want to individually add any other bucket also, you can add those kind of buckets or the prefix of that bucket. But all those, like, if you, as your question is that I want some specific object inside a bucket, that I don't think that will be that facility is there.
Okay, if you go up, I think I saw something. If you go
Sorry,
up,
I could not hear you, Prasad.
if you go up a bit, what is this management events read write? Okay. But anyway, if you can find it out, Sachin, maybe tomorrow or next week we can discuss about it.
Okay.
Because genuinely, it could be that not all the file needs to be monitored, only some file needs to be monitored. So is it possible or not?
Yeah, but I would say, like, as of now, like, what I saw is that like, probably you can create a bucket specific to that object only, and then you can monitor that, like, whichever you need it.
Okay.
But okay, so this was, it says that S3 bucket not found. Okay. And anyway, I've disabled that logging also. Let me enable it. So when I enable this logging and these things, so inside sure why it's saying that it cannot found it. Let's do one more thing. Let's try to create some other tail also. So wherever you want to store this, you can store that. So this above will tell you what for which event you have to capture, and this will tell you what you have to do. Okay. This key values you can give like kind of this thing.
Also, I see that there is only read and write this thing. There is nothing called error or unauthorized access or something like that.
Those when you so those error when you will get when you are doing some kind of operation, right?
Correct.
So at that time only in the log itself you can able to see those errors. So like you have to create the error for that, and if you create the error, so definitely you can see that those error logs in the log, whether it's a server or whether it's object access logs.
Okay. What do you mean by create an error for that?
I mean to say that either you have to like make the like access like that 403 or 404 something, so that reading the event, like either try to access some invalid bucket or something, so that then only it will create the error for you, right?
Okay.
So this we already saw, so I'm not going to like that how the event and how this trail is being there, and we saw the logs and these things. So but this is like how you can go ahead and you can enable your server object level logging, your object level logging and server access logging. Okay, so
Sachin,
yeah,
just one question. Can you go back to your slides? Because in the description, what it mentions that server level logging will only be applicable for access requests. If you read the description, it says setup access logs that provides detail about access requests. So it never talks about any update on the object. So if my versioning is enabled, and if I say uploading 5 versions of the same document, will that fall under server access logging or object access logging?
yes, that will fall under this, because that is also what kind of one operation only, right? That is the update is what it's like on a bucket. You are performing some operation, so whatever operations will be performed on bucket, for all those it will work.
So basically, my question is, what level of accesses will fall under your bucket level access, and what will fall under object? Because if you see, I'm basically updating the object with different versions. So I'm not doing any operations on top of what should be the access points and whether my account settings or if my permissions are enabled or disabled and all those things. I'm not changing any of my bucket properties, which are related to privileges or permissions or say my or any other thing or access control list, which are tied at a high level. But I am just uploading new versions. So if you see in this diagram, user is uploading a file and then it generates a trail. So then trail will be set up on this bucket and then it receives a data event, which will be logged. So, but when you say that if I upload a new file, it will fall under server logging, I get confused with that.
No. So I didn't mention any time this thing, but basically it will be like if you this so there are two kind of a loggings which is being provided to you, server and object level. When you talk about a server level logging, so whatever the request access, all those things will be there. Object level logging and these things will also will record whatever the data event or whatever the read write operation, these things are there. It will record all those operations. So if I say any operation, so operations will be same for both, like whether it is get, whether it is put, and whether it's thing, but the setup and the things are different. Here you are trying to create a trail and do that. There you are just enabling the log and setting up your target bucket, and with help of that you can able to access the particular object. Okay, oh sorry, able to deliver the logs. Okay, now apart from that, if I say for the object level logging, so in this, like, see, as you have, like, when you create a trail, so you have the like other kind of events as well, like like here you can basically specify for a same trail, you can specify more than one bucket and these things. So these kind of like that anyways you can do from the server access also, but like you can point out different sources from to one target. But apart from that, you can also capture some of the management events on the cloud trail. Okay, like which is basically like managed by AWS, like any other kind of a record activity or those things which is going in your on your bucket. Those kind of events will also be captured for your bucket. So I'll enable that logging and on that bucket. And let's see that if by like in some time we have logs in this.
Because see, the idea is what I wanted to understand. Say tomorrow, if I'm working on a real-time system where I wanted to enable this logging, so how would I decide that which level of logging I need? So basically, which level of logs need to be traced. So that's the whole motto of asking this. Because if you have to go with an object level logging or whether you have to go with a server level logging, that difference I wanted to understand, because right now I'm not exactly clear. I know on a high level what all differences are there, but on a detail level, what I'll achieve if I enable object level logging and what I'll achieve if I enable a server level logging.
Okay, sure. I'll let you know that.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's come to the next topic, that is the static website hosting. So if we see, like, so we all know like static website, like something like just HTML and plain HTML, there would be no operation and something. So it will have like mainly your index HTML and like the error HTML. So like if you don't find that particular file, it will go ahead and like it will create the error page. So for those kind of scenarios, so like what we do, like it's a very easy concept. Okay, and so like what you can do, let's go ahead and you can basically on your bucket enable the static website. Okay, and like this would be your endpoint. Okay, to enable to host the website, to see the website. So let's say that use this bucket to host a website. Let's say that index.html, and right now we do error.html. So there are some redirection rules and all, that is some like and redirect request and other things. So like if you go ahead with redirect request, so you have to say that if you have to redirect the request to some other bucket name and for what protocol you have to do. But if I say that this redirection rules, so I'll just show you guys that what is and how the redirection rules are there. So these are like a kind of a redirection rules which you can go ahead and if you write. So let's say that these are nothing but my kind of a routing rules which say that if the HTTP error code returns 403, okay, this kind of a condition. So just redirect to this particular website or like replace key or sorry. So for this particular website, like replace key prefix with not found. So basically like it will say that not found, like which normally also you get error, but you explicitly here you are defining your own particular rules. Okay, we'll like see that how these rules can be created in further section, but as of now just understand that this is there, it's an optional parameter. So static website hosting is just for the like kind of you can say the fun or something, which basically in organization they say that if some purpose of data or something is there which has only a some, yeah, let's say that you have kind of a knowledge and knowledge pages and all those things, so you can go ahead and you can put it up here and users can access it. Let's create save. Let's go ahead and upload the files. Before that, I will show you I have created two files like index.html with the normal welcome to being data, and this has error in 2020 like this. Now I have index.html and error.html. Let's see. Access 4034 billion, access denied. So you can access it via this by, you can see it says this. I have to make it public. I can go back and I have to make error.html also public. If I try to access some other file which is not there, it will give me error. So this is like a very simple and smaller concept for basically the static website hosting. Okay, so like it's a very easy concept just for the default this thing. Now we are left over with encryption, but so we have to start with the encryption, and like in encryption, like we are it's basically a conceptual stuff. So we'll probably like start with the encryption from tomorrow for tomorrow class. So we'll end up the session here, and so just before winding up the things and stuff, so let me just summarize it what all things we have looked over today, and then we'll come over to questions if any. So the first thing would be that we started with the S3 and we talked about like what is S3, a global service, we have to select the region and these stuffs. Then we talked about the other stuff such as we talked about the fundamentals, like what are the keys, what are the buckets, what are the objects, what are the metadata. We also spoke about the object storage and the block storage differences. Then we talked about the how we can see that talked about S3 console. We talked about how we can create the buckets, how we can like access it if it is unversioned, how we can make it public, how we can make it the versioning can be enabled, how you can suspend the version. Then also we talked about the server access logging, the static website hosting, and the object access logging. So these are the things which we spoke about. We'll talk about the encryption and the other, how you can generate the notification and these kind of scenarios. So before that, there's any question, anyone?
Yeah, Sachin, can we go to that script part?
Which part?
That development part you told that after the class we can discuss.
Yeah, I'll call you separately, Ashutosh. After that, I'll call you. Like
Okay,
once the class is over, I'll call you like probably after an hour. I'll call you. But I'm taking, so just for your information, I'm taking back-to-back session from mornings. So,
okay.
So this is my
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Any question?
So Sachin, tomorrow full day again will be S3, right?
Probably not. We might give an introduction to EC2. We'll have a EC2 introduction start.
Okay, because I think
now we are left over with mostly with the tags, the transfer acceleration part, events. Encryption is mostly over the theoretical basis, like to understand what kind of encryption is there. Like as we don't have KMS and all this enabled, so we are like we'll see that how it can be done. Then we have so the most important like two parts which are important which for S3 which has to be covered. Like one is that storage management. You already would be aware of those things, and the lifecycle management, that how the lifecycle is managed and how the storage is managed. Those are the two important parts which has to be covered. So I'll try my best to start with the
yeah, from my side, I think first of all,
privilege access policies. Yeah,
but access policies, different what you can say pricing model of S3, then lifecycle management, cross-region replication, then the events and security. So you're talking about much more things. I think tomorrow's session will be full of S3 again.
Yeah, so definitely all the things whichever you have mentioned that will also be covered up, and like think that let's see if there is nothing like if any topic is like left out once the S3 is completely finished, so then we can see that if anything is left out, but I don't think everything will be covered up with this stuff.
Yeah, because the pricing model is the most important topic for the architecture.
Right.
Okay.
cover up those all those things, Prasad.
Okay.
If no other questions, so I think like we are good with the things. So may I know like what is the update on the IM quiz, guys? Saurabh, Abhijit, Narendra, where are we? Did we try that IM quiz that just I think some 8 to 10 questions were out. I do not like, remember how many questions were there. Prasad, what about you?
I will do it today. Sorry, I forgot about it. I will do it today after this course.
Follow me. What about
Yeah, Sachin, even I have not done it till now. So we'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Sachin, one thing I saw that the document contains answers also below.
Yeah, so you don't have to look at answers, right? I know. Answers
Yeah.
are just for a re-verification for your purpose. If you
Okay.
have seen the answers, so now you would be aware, right? Nisha?
Yeah, I haven't solved the questions yet, so I will be doing that.
Guys, it's like it's for you only that if you guys practice, it's like for you guys only. So mainly like just try to keep practicing because tomorrow once everything is finished, so we'll give you the S3 related stuff. So you might have to go ahead with that. So I believe the same is update with Avijit and Saurabh as well. So like please everyone please try to cover up. So
Sure, Sachin.
Also, Sachin, tomorrow, can we spare 15 minutes after the call because me and Polemy tried to create the IAM policy and give each other access, but something went wrong and we were not able to give it. We also tried to follow your video, but yeah, after some time we were not able to follow because there were too many switching of screens. So if you have some 15 minutes tomorrow, probably after the class, we can see live that what was wrong.
yeah, sure. Tomorrow we can do. Yeah, today like today like it would. Sorry, but today if we want to do also like we can connect after like in evening here.
No, tomorrow is fine. Tomorrow is fine.
Okay, okay. Then we'll connect tomorrow.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you everyone. Thanks for joining. Have a good day.
Yeah.
And Sachin, also there were a couple of questions from my side that you said that you will be answering it.
I will do that. I remember all those. I like I know there are a few action items from previous and from this session. Like
Okay.
it was a bit occupied this week. I'll try to give it by tomorrow evening.
Okay. No problem.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.